Hello again peeps, thanks for clicking on the video. Today I'm going to be doing a full review of the Falcon FN19 air rifle. So if that's your kind of thing, keep watching. Okay, so like the last review I made of the Webley Hurricane pistol, this rifle is no longer in production. Falcon was brought out by Air Arms a good few years back, but spare parts can still be obtained fairly easy enough from places such as TW Chambers. And again, there's not many reviews of them on YouTube, but nevertheless I still feel it deserves a good review. Okay, so to tell you a little about the rifle, this version is a multi-shot version that has an 8-shot mag. It's very simple and easy to use, but does occasionally require you to fiddle home a pellet, as the bolt handle is responsible for cocking the rifle as well as indexing the pellets. So it sometimes becomes a little stuck, but it's not often and it's not a big issue. To operate the action, you must pull the bolt up and then back and then lock it down, then lift up, push forward and then down again. It requires a firm hand, but it's not enough to put you off your next shot if you would say like benched or something. And personally I quite like the resistance the bolt action offers, as with some PCPs they can often feel too easy to operate, and as a result they can feel a little lifeless, coupled with their lack of recoil. It has a fully adjustable 2-stage trigger that is fitted with a nice wide blade for better trigger purchase and control. It's currently set to a fairly quick first stage and then a sure stop, which gives way to a clear and crisp second stage. It's perhaps a little tougher than I'd like, but with it being a hunting rifle I'm sure I can live with it. Plus it's fully adjustable as I said, so you know, if it's that much of a problem I should just change it I guess. The safety on this rifle is a bit of a weird one for me. Don't get me wrong, it works perfectly well, but if you're not paying full attention to what you're doing, it could catch you out. So I will elaborate on this a little. It's a manual lever style safety where you push it forward to fire, and once you have, it reveals a red dot to let you know the rifle's active and all that good stuff, as they say. But for a start, it's located right near the trigger, which is not always the best idea in my opinion, and many others. And where the fun really starts is, say you want to use the rifle and its mag is empty, so you cock the bolt back and lock it down, remove the mag and then load up your 8 pellets. Then insert the magazine back and return the bolt to closed. But did all that with the safety on. The gun won't have cocked properly, so it will have cycled a pellet into the breech, but it won't have primed the hammer. So you will go to take a shot and realise the safety is on, but even when you take it off, the trigger will still be dead. So at this point, your only sensible option is to not double load the gun and cock back the bolt, lock it back down, remove the mag, return the bolt forward and fire the previously cycled pellet. Then reinsert the mag and continue to shoot, remembering only to apply the safety after you have loaded up the gun, else you will end up with all kinds of arseache. It has a 2-piece rail, that's okay, but it's worth noting that this is a scope dedicated rifle, and its mag system does not sit flush with the action, so it fouls the rail enough to make you think twice about which scope you're going to be mounting. And you can see it as a traditional Monte Carlo style sporter stock that is made for right-handed shooters only, so it's not an ambidextrous style stock. Excuse me, I'm getting tongue-tied. It is fitted with a rather comfy rubberized butt pad as well. There are left-handed and skeletal style stocks available for these rifles as far as I'm aware. It's also worth noting that if you start to look into tuning this rifle, there is a whole host of hits available on the web, such as a Robert Lane regulator, or even on eBay there is ready-made service kits available, so people definitely still cater for this rifle as it were. It kind of reminds me of a Crossman 2250/2260 if I'm honest, only it's far more interesting in my mind as it's British and it's discontinued. The moderator that came with this rifle was just a bog standard slip-on type that required a web screw to tighten. They worked okay, or should I say it worked okay, but I decided to upgrade it to a more modern day moderator, and while I was at it I also, as mentioned, upgraded to a best fittings quick fill kit that consists of a handy dust cap cover, a quick fill Foster fitting for the rifle and a hose fitting for my air tank. There are Falcon moderators with a quick fill adapter built into them available, but I wasn't able to find one at the time of looking to further suppress the rifle, so I just opted for a typical gun tough slip-on adapter to then have the option of using any moderator with a 1/2" UNF female thread. And lastly, the rifle's action. As lovely as it is to use, it does make a fair bit of noise when the hammer is dropped. It's not unbearable, but it's also enough to annoy some people, I'm sure, as there seems to be a fair few depinger kits available for these old rifles, And again, I like it as it adds to the rifle's character. It prevents it from feeling soulless, seeing as the upgraded mod does such a good job of sound suppression. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to now cut to some test footage of me running the rifle over a chronograph while I'm displaying the decibel meter as usual, and I will then also cut to some range time with the rifle. Right, so I just want to do a quick demonstration on how to load up the mag. It's not like your normal conventional one. You kind of need this little tool doohickey thing in order to do it nicely. So you put it into the back. Sorry, I'm trying to do this as well as look through the camera. You put that onto the back of the mag, drop your pellet in and rotate it round. So it's not particularly difficult to do, but if you lose this little brass component, loading your magazine up could be quite tiresome and fiddly. So I'm just loading up for the chronograph test now. I've got 2 pellets of each of the 4 that I'm going to be using, so 8 in total, and that's roughly how long it takes to fill up the mag. Right, so I'm just going to run a quick 8-shot chronograph test. I'll be using 4 different types of pellets. The first sort will be RWS Superdomes, then Superfields, and JSB Exact Diablos, Jumbos, and then Bisley Magnums. Right, so the first 2 shots. .590.4. Second Superdome shot. 591.8. So the first Superfield shot is 568 dead. Sorry, my chronograph's turned itself off, or my decibel meter. Fourth Superfield shot. It's 569.7. Okay, so the 5th shot using JSB Exact Jumbos. It's 572.8. And the 6th shot, 574.2. The 7th shot using Bisley Magnums, it's 497.6. I think I'll see the decibel meter went up to 94 decibels then. So even though it's recording the sound of the impact of the pellet, it's still not breaching 100 decibels, which is pretty good. Last shot. Again, Bisley Magnum, 497.2. Okay, so just to have a quick look at them results, taking the highest feet per second from the RWS Superdomes, which was 591.8, equated to 11.28 foot-pounds. So just underneath the legal limit there, which is where some people like it. Some people prefer it a little bit lower, but for me that's fine. And taking the highest FPS from RWS Superfields was 569.7, which equated to 11.46 foot-pounds of energy, so not a great deal of difference. And then again with the Exact Jumbos, the highest was 574.2, which equated to 11.64 foot-pounds of energy. And then again with the Magnums, which weighs a little bit more, quite a bit actually in fact, the highest reading was 497.6, which equated to 11.60 foot-pounds of energy. So this rifle is fairly old, and I'm pretty sure it hasn't ever had a service or been tuned or anything like that. It's putting out some pretty consistent results. So from the findings, I'd say it's a fairly consistent rifle, which is what you want to see. Right, so I'm just going to do a 4-shot grouping, and I'll be using 4 pellets of each of the pellets you see me use in the chrony test, and I'll be shooting at 20 metres, so down the side of my house. Neighbours fully aware of what I'm doing, so they won't be popping their head over the fence, don't worry. And as I said, it's 20 metres away, and I'll be shooting from a rested position off a table, off of a little makeshift rest. And I'm also going to be using a Firewolf scope cam mount, so you can actually see me take the shots in real time. Excuse the shakiness at the minute, I will fix it to the gun and it will look better then. and incidentally I'll be doing a review on this scope cam mount for my next video. Okay, so first 4 shots will be with RWS Superdomes. Bummer. Okay, so there we are. So the second 4 shots will be from RWS Superfields. I swear I'm just catching the sun on the back of them pellet skirts. I don't know if it's coming up on the camera or not, but okay, so third set of 4 shots. This will be using JSB Exact jumbos. All pretty tidy group so far. Okay, so the last set of shots will be 4 shots from the Bisley Magnums. Right, so real quickly, I'm just going to rattle off 8 shots at this spinner. Got a full mag, let's see how many I can hit at in a row. And that is a spent mag. Okay, so just give you a quick close-up of the target. There's the 4 shots I made with the Superdomes. There's the 4 with the Superfields, the Exact Jumbos, and as you can see the Bisley Magnums. And 5p for reference. It buries every one of them groups. and I appreciate that 20 metres is not a staggering distance for a PCP rifle, especially not one as accurate as this, but it does give you a rough idea of its capabilities. And just so you're aware, I didn't re-zero the scope each time, as you can probably tell from this grouping. All I did was just go from the original 0, which was set up for the Superdomes, as I think they're pretty much the best pellets for the job, or for the gun, shall I say. They're cheaper than the Superfields and they seem to do the same job, so I'm going to go with them. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that so far, and as with all my reviews, I like to give some pros and cons on the rifle if I may. Okay, so my first pro is how superbly accurate it is for its age, which leads me to think it always has been. I can see myself going to this rifle in the future very easily. And number 2 is its pointability. It's not a particularly short rifle, but it is a very lightweight and manageable rifle. And my third pro would be the stock. It has a lovely lightweight beechwood Monte Carlo style stock that helps with shouldering the rifle nicely. I think it really does the rifle justice. As you can see, it's got a lovely roll over cheek piece, and as I said, even without the silencer on, I'm having quite a bit of difficulty getting all of the gun in shot, but we do what we can. And my fourth pro would be the trigger. As I said before, it's a lovely wide blade trigger that gives great purchase, and it allows for better accuracy in my opinion, as I'm sure many people would agree. And my fifth pro would be how quiet the rifle is. Apart from the internal noise, which only seems loud as your ears are so close to it, it's a relatively quiet rifle, which is really helpful for those late night pest control sessions, I can only imagine, as I haven't used it for that yet, but it will be getting used in that manner soon. And my last pro would be how easy it is to work on. These rifles have lots of upgrades and different parts for it that are easily obtainable, and I tend to find myself sticking to big names and tried and tested guns, and as a result the list of aftermarket parts available to me are always numerous, which I'm always grateful for. Okay, so for the cons, and thankfully there's not many, number 1 would be the safety. It's not a deal breaker, but it is an arse ache to use in my opinion. It functions fine, I guess. It's just I could really do without the faff of having to remember the order in which to operate things. And number 2 would be its shot count, coupled with the lack of a regulator. But again, this is not a deal breaker, as most of us would never get through 80 shots on a pest control session, and the power curve is easy enough to learn. And my third con would be the little brass component I showed you whilst I was preparing for the chronograph test. You kind of need that to load up the magazine, and it's kind of cool in a little quirky way, but at the same time it's just asking to be lost or misplaced in it when all's said and done. I'm quite lucky the previous owner of the gun took care of things like that, and I was able to take advantage of his care towards the gun, but I should imagine a lot of people had to go and buy one of them separately and what have you, so you know, in my opinion it's a bit of a con. And my last con would be the lack of an air gauge. I know the rifle gives around 80 full power shots, and it's not hard to count your shots, I appreciate that, but it is still always welcome addition, it is still always a welcomed addition to have one on the rifle, and for that reason it made the last con for me. Right, so that pretty much brings us to the end of the review. As promised, I'd just like to show this lovely sling made by Neil Dalby. You can find him on Facebook. He's a very approachable person, and you can request for your slings to be made at whatever length and width and sling fitting attachments you want on it, which is always nice. The guy doesn't actually shoot himself, but he's pretty damn knowledgeable on the topics, so lovely to deal with, and I'd very much recommend getting one of these slings for your rifle if you haven't already. I've actually ordered another one for my Air Arms TX200. They're that good, and they're not expensive, you know, they're affordable, and you get what you pay for in this world, I believe, and this is a really top quality sling. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I do appreciate it, and I'll just give you a bit of a close-up of the rifle, because I'm aware that my reviews can be a little bit static sometimes, fully aware that I'm reading from a script and all the rest of it, but I don't have a studio, so I kind of have to get things in one take, and I'll do the best I can. So I hope you appreciate the efforts. I think you'll agree that is a lovely looking stock. The old rollover cheek piece is lovely and smooth and does a great job for helping the eye relief through the scope. And as I said, my next video will be a review on the Firewolf scope cam mount, because it helped me make this video, and I'm going to be using it a lot more in the future to hunt with and things like that, so it kind of makes sense that I do a review on that next. So again, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. And thanks for watching.